So as I went to go and check it, there were 3 guys down there, and they just opened up with the AKs.
Serious?
And they hid behind this building on the right side of us. My vehicle got hit because we did a battle collateral damage. My vehicle got hit 136 times. You know, I lost all the jerry cans, spare wheel. My driver was hid in the footwell because and I got hit in the helmet just an inch above my ear. And I had the old Mark 6 Alpha helmets at the time, and everyone else had the new Mark 7 helmets because my head was so big. They never had my size in the store, so I kept my old helmet. And I'm glad I did, because the new 7 Alpha helmets were higher cut at the ear, so it would have hit it. Yeah, I'll be here now.
All right, Craig, welcome to Fast Hit Performance then. As you know, I've been wanting to have people like you on, especially you, for a long time, and I've reached out. I've managed to grip you and grab you in there, kicking and screaming. So welcome to the channel. The people that follow me technically know a lot about military aviation, but not much about soldiering, the British Army, or indeed they would never have had anyone like a sniper come on here and tell the story. So I've got a few things I want to ask you. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Tim. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
How is your hip?
My hip's fine. It was the blood clot that afterwards that it was the killer. Never experienced pain like it, but seems to be all cleared up now. So little slight pain in the hip, but yeah, I'm walking around, so I'm getting there slowly.
Madness. Right, let's have a look. So I'm going to just stick some down here. I'm going to put this down here for you. There you go. We've got this, The Longest Kill. You've written a book called The Longest Kill. I've read bits and pieces of it, to be fair, diving into it all over the weekend. Going back into your history then, obviously, you don't want to start with that, but you joined the Blues and Roars, am I right? Which means you're a corporal of horse, which is quite interesting. What's that mean?
Yeah, corporal horse. So sergeant in Latin means servant, and the Queen didn't want servants protecting her. So she gave our regiment a different role, like corporal of the horse. So corporal of the horse is a rank of a sergeant, and you get Lance Corporal Horse, which is a corporal, and you get Lance Corporal, which obviously Lance Corporal, and then you get Staff Corporal, which would be a colour sergeant, and that's how it works. So you
learned to ride horses and everything. That's all part of it, is it?
Yeah. Well, I've been riding horses since I was little. Since I was really little. My mum got me a horse. Went pony trekking for a pony trekking holiday, and I've enjoyed it so much. My mum spoiled me and got me a horse, and I sort of started show jumping, started doing stuff, everything to do with horses. I was infatuated, you know. And I was born and bred in Cheltenham, and there's not much in Cheltenham for a younger guy. And I know people in Cheltenham still that haven't left Cheltenham since I was at school, and I think that's quite sad. And so my granddad said, get a trade, always get a trade. So I joined the Household Cavalry basically to become a farrier, to get a trade. And because it's hard to get an apprenticeship outside the army as a farrier. So I joined the Household Cavalry, you know, to do the horses, to be a farrier, and it all started from there, really.
So do they give you, I mean, obviously then you ride. I've always been fascinated by this. So, I mean, you were obviously quite a proficient horseman, a rider before you went in, whatever the term is. So when other guys join us, are they not? They need the full teaching, do they? Is that what happens?
Yeah, basically, even if you did ride before, they like you to ride the military way. There's certain ways. The saddles are different, the bridles are different. You know, you ride with a double reins and stuff like that. So they sort of like try and kick all the civilian side of riding out of you and teach you the military way anyway. So it doesn't matter if you've ridden before, if you haven't ridden before. You know, you just end up riding the military way anyway.
Yeah, I was saying with flying, even if you've got a private pilot's license, they don't care. They're like, well, the military didn't teach you. You know, the military didn't teach you. Don't care. Don't care how great a pilot you're going to start at the beginning, do the whole lot. So how much riding do you do then when you join? I mean, there must be a basic training.
Oh, you get up. You do riding school, which is I'm not sure how long it is. I think it's 12 weeks riding school. So basically, you're getting up at like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. you know, going down the stables, doing your horses, and then you ride and you groom, then you end up cleaning your kit, and you end up doing foot drill. It's constant. They say, when I was there, they said it had more intensity in doing SAS selection, doing riding school, because the intensity, you think you're a 16-year-old boy, just left school, you're signing for nearly £250,000 worth of kit, you've got a horse to look after, you know, and just the intensity is quite a lot. We had at one point we had the highest rate AWOL rate in the British Army, because lads were just joining the army, thinking they would go to the armoured side and go, yeah, you're going armoured. Oh, brilliant! I'm going to Windsor, but yet the riding school was in Windsor. They end up in riding school. So yeah.
Jeez. And then after that, once you've got that tick, I suppose like a qualification, isn't it? You've got a qualification for riding. Do you then, obviously, infantry regiment, it's armoured, isn't it, as you said?
Yeah, you get the armour side.
What's the role then to that?
You do the ceremonial side, like trooping the colour, you know, parades, standard colours, and like parades and all that. And you do changing the guard down Whitehall, so you sit on the horse, you know, and it goes down. 4 of you stay on the horse. They'll be the cleanest on the guard, and then people on their feet will be the dirtiest. So it goes down in line. So it's worth cleaning your kit, because you only do 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock, and that's it. The rest of the time's yours to clean your kit and get your head down or do what you will, but you stay on guard down in Whitehall. And then you're meant to do 2 years on, 2 years off. So you're meant to do 2 years at Windsor, 2 years at Knightsbridge, and then 2 years at Windsor on the armoured side. But the lack of manpower that the army has, or the regiment has, you can either decide you want to stay armoured or you want to stay mounted. I managed to do 4 years mounted, and then I went to the armoured side because I was a bit of a bad boy in London, really. So
I was going to ask about that. So you're a young soldier in London. London's not the cheapest place in the world, so obviously you work out where to go and have a few beers and stuff like that. And there must be mischief. There must be. I knew a Fusilier, a captain friend of mine, Tower of London, of course, with the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers based out of at the time, and he used to have hellish problems with his troops in London. You know what I mean? Oh,
yeah, you become a weekend millionaire. You know, you get paid. You're a weekend millionaire. You got London, and you just 17, 18 years old, and you're in the centre of London. You got money in your back pocket. You go into bars. You know, and you end up fighting. You end up getting drunk. You end up, you know, you could go down the wrong hole. You could go down the wrong rabbit hole. You know, if you wanted to. So it is a nightmare. It is a nightmare.
You were getting a skill, so you joined the army because you felt, and that's sensible, by the way, for people watching this, getting a skill out of the military. And unfortunately, when you fly these airplanes, it doesn't give you a skill when you leave, because you don't get any qualifications at all. You leave with no license. I can't even fly a glider, can't fly a light airplane, can't fly anything. I still run a business teaching in the virtual world online, of course, but this doesn't allow you to do anything. Multi-engines, helicopters, slightly different. But in the military, you don't get licenses when you come out flying wise. So do you get like trained when you're in the army and you obviously you're riding? You can come out because... Is there like a Farrier qualification you can do in the army? So when you come out, you're like, look at this, I'm an army Farrier. It's like, what?
Yeah. You get, it's called time barred. So basically, you join the army to become a Farrier. You become a Farrier, and then you're time barred for 3 years. So because I think they figured out there's no point in us putting all this money into you, and then you leave straight away. So they time bar you for 3 years, and you start off on level 3. And then you become level 2. And when you're level 2, you're qualified to work on civilian horses as well. And then you become level 1, which is the highest you can become. And then lads usually leave the army and start their own business up in civilian industry as a farrier. And that's what I wanted to do, you know. But when I joined in the 90s, 91, my era, the forge was full of Victorian handlebars stashed meatheads on, you know, and my face didn't fit really because I was slightly dyslexic as well. So when I wanted to do homework at night. Mine was more illustrated than written work, and it really didn't fit in what they wanted. So I didn't really qualify to become a farrier or qualify to do the assessments they required. So
what did you
never
do
really made it.
So you went, obviously you're soldiering now. You've got that duty, obviously, but you're soldiering. But how long did you do that then before you decide that you like want to go and do something different and expand into, say, the sniper business and doing the school and everything like that? How does that work? So what leads you up to doing that?
Well, basically, the regiment side is forward reconnaissance. So we drive scimitars, Spartans, Sultans around, and we haven't got them anymore. We've got a vehicle called Ajax, and it's a multi-million-pound vehicle. We've had to move camp. So we were always based in Windsor, but now we're in Borford and Salisbury Plain because only because the vehicle didn't fit in the hangar. So, and Borford had spare hangars, spare accommodation, so everyone moved there. First time in centuries that we've ever moved, because Windsor camp was ours. Mm. But when I was in, our job was forward reconnaissance. So to go forward more than anyone else, apart from SF, and gathered lifetime information of the battlefield, and then come back and either get into a bit of drama or come back, give me information, and say it's all clear for the rest of the battle group to pull up and stuff like that. And that was the job of the regiment. And there was no such thing as snipers then. But then I think they realised how valuable snipers were and how much they could basically fuck a whole battle group up and fuck the enemy up. So Drac, which was the main officer in charge of the RLC sort of like armoured division, he said, I now believe that snipers can join the household cavalry. So I was one of the first snipers to go on the course, first lads go on the course, on the snipers course, and I just excelled, and I came back to the regiment as a sniper.
So how long is it? Where do you go for this? Is it Brecon or somewhere? Or where?
You can go to Brecon, which is the school of Warminster, right. Or you can go to Pirbright, which they have a sniper course down there. I did the Pirbright one.
How long is that then?
That's it's 9.5 weeks altogether. I think it's a bit longer now, but it's quite intense. You do, you got a very sleep deprivation course because you got to prep all your kit. You've got to learn all your lesson plans and everything. So you're finishing lessons about 10 o'clock at night, and then you're up at God knows what time in the morning to prep your kit for the next day for the range, or you do field craft. So yeah, it's quite intense. A lot of people fail it. Yeah,
I've heard that. Is it phys heavy at all? I mean, is it physically, or is it more?
Yeah, you got to carry your kit A to B. So you haven't got vehicles with you. Nowadays they use quads. Snipers use quads at regiments. But if you haven't got a quad, you're on your feet, and you can carry up to 150 pound on your back. And you got to carry all your optics. You got to carry all your batteries, plus your water, plus your rations, plus ammunition for 3 weapon systems. So you got your sniper rifle, you got your SA-80, you've got your pistol, and then you've got to carry your own kit, like warm kit, spare kit, and so the weight does pile on after a while,
Yeah, so I can imagine actually. Now, if you're talking about what the Accuracy International L115, isn't it? Is that the?
Yeah.
Right, I've got something up. I'll just share this screen because I've read about this, and you know these answers, and I don't, by the way. So I'm going to ask you these things. Here we go. So I've got. Now we should be. Yeah, there we are. Look, we're down the side. How cool is that? So there you go. Now this is to do this weapon here. It says there were some questions about this. This is to do with the used in the war in Arctic because there's a denser, heavier air, and that has a difference. We're using the 338. Was it Lapua Magnum? Is that what the
round is? That's what it is. Yeah, the 338 Lapua Magnum, Magnum rifle. Yeah. So it's they had the L96, which is the first sniper rifle that the army had, and it's a lighter version. Brilliant in the green zone in Afghan. The L1 that one there is is slightly heavier. so you couldn't really bring it up as a sharpshooter rifle. It's more used as a sniper rifle more than anything else.
In the field type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You're donating to Wikipedia. I've done a lot of that. Right. So you can have different rounds in it. It does talk about the barrel on this thing, which I found quite interesting. I don't know much about this. It talks about how the barrel is a compromise. I read this earlier. It's a compromise between all the different things that can sort of compromise a rifle. I don't know much about barrels, but obviously when you fire around, it spins, doesn't it? Down the barrel, it's rifled, comes out, a warp factor 6, it seems, right? Oh, there you're actually featured in this Wikipedia article down the bottom here. Oh, there you are.
Here we go. Yeah,
with your range and everything, and that was with this rifle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you talk here, it says that you mentioned that the environmental conditions are perfect for long range shooting, no wind, mild weather, clear visibility. When you talk about all that stuff, I mean, we get the same with flying. It's like, I want 10 knots down the runway. That's all I want, you know what I mean? Because then I've got nice 10 knots to get airborne from, no crosswinds. It must be a similar thing. You've got someone else that comes out with you, called a spotter, I assume, is it?
Yeah, spotter. Yeah.
You take it. So before you go out, you say, right, I'll be the guy that's going to get all the medals today, and you be the spotter on that. That's what you say. You agree, or you change over roles, or how's it work?
Usually, you get a 1 and a 2. So the number 1 is usually the better shooter, and number 2 is usually better at doing the calculations.
Okay.
So the number 2 would do the wind for you. We do the calculations, and basically then he'll put it into the scope of number 1, and number 1 would take the shot. But in my case, when I worked with my number 2, we were the same capability, so we just took it in turns.
Oh.
You know, it's going to I'll shoot today. Yeah, I'll do the calculations today. Yeah, no worries. You know, and that's how we worked it. Or sometimes we'd add 2 rifles out at the same time. You know, right. for max firepower. So
you can do that. Okay, so then someone's still calculating for both of you, are they then? Or you're doing your own?
Yeah, you can. The spotting scope has got exactly the same graticle in as the sniper rifle scope itself. So even if you had 2 rifles out, you could still work out distances and what the enemy is, you know, PRD in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. I get them completely. So above, I think you said above 1,000 meters or whatever, you start having to take into effect sort of the fact that the Earth is rotating. Is that I know artillery does that. I didn't realize that snipers do that. So how on earth does that calculate? I mean, how do you even calculate wind? Like, have you got a device that you hold up here and go?
You got a wind meter, and basically that gives you in kgs how fast the wind's going, and then you have data dope. Which is your original data, because you spend ages on the range. You know, before you go on tour and everything, you're spending ages on the range, and you're gathering as much information as possible: wind speeds, wind pressure, biometric pressure, what height you are from sea level, and everything. You got to work this out, and it's on your you have an A4 bit of paper, and it's got all your data on it, and you laminate it, and basically that will tell you different wind speeds. So at something like, say for instance, 15 kg an hour, the wind's blowing, and it's blowing left to right. So left to right, you put on 5 clicks left, so it counter reacts what it's doing.
Yeah, so you're going into the wind basically, so the round would be coming back.
Yeah, but also you got a thing called spin drift as well, because when the bullet comes out, the rifle in the barrel is right. So when the bullet comes out, it's spinning right, so it will spin right. So as well as doing your wind, you got to do a thing called spin drift as well. So you got to add more left on than right. To counter-react the spin drift coming out
over the range. So when you know what range it is, you go, I need to add a bit more because it's going further. Is that right? So
yeah. So basically, the bullet will go flat for about 300 to 350 meters. The bullet will stay quite flat. So really, you don't have to put any adjustments on your rifle at all, because the velocity of that rifle and the power of that bullet, you know, will hit the target. But anything over 350, say 400, 500, 600, 700, you got to start putting your data on. Otherwise, the wind is going to start taking effect. You know, the pressure, rain, anything will start taking effect of that bullet.
Do you measure the wind then? I mean, we use knots, obviously, but when you talk about kg, is this a weight variant? Is it weight of fluid in effect? Is that what you're looking at? Because when you're in sniper school, you talked about getting your briefs ready for the next day.
Yeah.
I assume you're getting in here. We when we do our instructor lessons, obviously we have to instruct, and so we're assessed by guys like myself and senior guys. We assess the other instructors on how they teach the students, and they teach us as we're pretend students so that we can assess them. Are you giving briefs at sniper school to prove that you've got the knowledge of what you've been taught? Is that what they're doing?
Well, what happens, you do the basic sniper school, which is the level 1 sort of basic sniper, which you learn everything, and you come out as a qualified sniper. And then you go down to Warminster, to the battle school, and you do your section commanders, which is your instructors, basically. And then from there, you do, from Warminster again, you do your platoon commanders.
Yeah.
So I was lucky to do all 3. So I left as a platoon commander, which usually an officer's job. And it's more of like that you sit in an OP room and you sort of like, you tell the snipers where to go on the ground, basically.
Yeah, so if they're going out to do CTR or something, you're telling them close target.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
You're in the option.
Yeah, and you're giving the O group to them to say, look, this is where you're going. This is the kit you need. And you'll be in the O group and you follow them, because they'll have a thing called Blue Force Tracker on them. So there'll be a big map on the screen, and there'll be snipers dotted around, and that you could see them move across the screen, which is pretty handy as well.
Yeah, I need some of that. That'd be pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't realise that non-commissioned could do that platoon commander. Is that PCBC? Is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, look, we're looking at that. So one thing I wanted to talk about, right, we've done. I'm more interested in more rifles, and now you got into the army and all that kind of stuff. I think it's brilliant. But we do have to talk about your tours. Now, we reckon, because we had a brief chat before, that I wrote about being over a town called Al-Amara, or Amara, they call it as well, in southern Iraq, just up from Basra, in fact, about 2006, early 2006. And you were there as well, you were saying. I was in the big jet here. But you were on the ground.
Yeah, just on the stadium. I was going to say the other day when we spoke that I was on the CIMIC building when the riots were going on.
Yeah.
And I remember just being in firefights, you know, and I remember the SAS Hereford being on the roof as well with a 50 cal, you know, taking vehicles out, and then they used to jump off the roof, go to another roof, and then go to another roof. Yeah, but we had jets do flybys on them, so you never know. It could have been you, Tim.
Yeah, well, it could be. I mean, a young boy wrote to me, actually, a guy called Alex. He was on the ground, and he said we got a date together, and we realised that the story I'd written about was probably a couple months before him, and he was on the ground, and we had, on that squadron, which is 12, we had another guy whose name I won't mention on here, but he put 2 jets over that guy. So we're obviously quite active in that part of Iraq at the time without realising it, you know what I mean? But that was, I was all over Iraq, all up to Baghdad, Kirkuk, Mosul. We did the whole thing, but there was this quite intense activity I remember around Amara when I was there. So we talked about that, right? But then you went into Afghan. I wasn't on the ground in Afghan. I was only in Kabul, but you're obviously out there running around getting yourself shot. Afghan 2009, you got hit on the head when your bullet hit your helmet. What's that about?
Yeah, I was in. They were putting a PB in Minden. It was a new observation base they were putting in, so it was a big operation. So the Taliban couldn't dick us, and I had control of the left side flank of the operation. So I had 4 vehicles, I had 12 lads, and we were just scouting around, you know, trying to force the Taliban not to dick us, you know, keeping them on the move. And I remember not checking this dead ground on this ridge line, and I thought, well, I'll go and check it. So as I went to go and check it, there were 3 guys down there, and they just opened up with the AKs. Serious. And they hid behind this building on the right side of us. My vehicle got hit because we did a battle collateral damage. My vehicle got hit 136 times. You know, I lost all the jerry cans, spare wheel. My driver was hid in the footwell because and I got hit in the helmet just an inch above my ear, and I had the old Mark 6 Alpha helmets at the time, and everyone else had the new Mark 7 helmets. Because my head was so big, they never had my size in the store, so I kept my old helmet, and I'm glad I did, because the new 7 Alpha helmets were higher cut at the ear, so it would have hit it. Yeah, I won't be here now. Put it that way.
Seriously, would have gone in.
Yeah, it would have gone in. Yeah, and the bullet went all the way round.
Yeah,
and came out the top. Yeah, it knocked me out for about a good 20 seconds.
I was going to say, what happens there? I mean, it must be a massive. It's a 7.62 round, isn't it? So it's a huge bang. It's a big velocity.
Oh yeah, especially the distance, because there's 3 stages to a bullet. There's supersonic when it left.
Yeah.
Then it goes transonic, and then it goes subsonic. Now transonic is when it starts wobbling, and it starts sorting its. It starts wobbling in the air, and then once it's sorted itself out and stabilized, it's slowed down so much it goes subsonic. So, but this bullet hit me supersonic still, going, especially from the distance he got fired at. I could see the guy firing at us.
What range was that then? How far? Was
probably 100 yards, 100 yards, 70 yards.
So within range, isn't he? Exactly like 300 meters with an AK or something. So he's. So how can they manage to get so many rounds off? What did you do back to them? Because it must have been a bit of a shock. So all of a sudden, this is all coming at you.
I had a Jimpy on the front of my jackal, and I opened up with that, and I didn't realise that some rounds have hit the Jimpy box and crushed it.
All right.
So when the belt was going into the Jimpy, the belt snapped. So I was flapping about that. So then I don't remember doing this, by the way. This is me coming around after being knocked out. My driver told me this is what I'd done. So I got my SA-80 out, which was in the doorwell of the jackal, and I stood up and I just let a whole 30 mags go straight away, 30 rounds go from a mag, and it kept their heads down. And then C Squadron, who were doing the north border, they came round the top and they started engaging them as well. And I think we killed 2 Taliban and 1 got away on a motorbike.
It's crazy, isn't it? Just happens like that so quickly, didn't it? But no one was actually. There's no injuries then, apart from you rolling around the floor for 20 seconds, going, "I don't know where I am."
Yeah, just me rolling around. Yeah, it was bizarre.
Like, it's just Craig. It'd be all right. Drag him up, put him in the wagon, it'd be cool.
That's it. I spent a day. We were so far forward in Afghan, they weren't going to bring a helicopter in, so they just because they had really bad concussion. So they did. Then I spent a night in the field ambulance in the Mastiff. And then I felt shit in the morning, but I sort of blagged it with the doctor, and he said, "Do you feel all right?" And I thought, "Yeah, I feel fine." And I went to join the lads, and we carried on the mission.
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes the best thing for you, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like,
without doubt.
If you get dragged back into some other camp, you're sitting there going, "Well, this is great. What to do now?" Just sat here with the boys out there.
Exactly. I feel fine, so I just feel a bit wheezy. That's all. So
I need a new helmet, please, preferably a Mark 6, just so we can.
Yeah.
Double a Mark 7.
I actually asked for a Mark 6 when I got a new helmet through the stores, because they didn't believe me. They thought I lost my helmet. Because obviously they do a thing called each briefing at Cap Bastion they do a whiz report. Right. And the whiz report, it basically tells you what's going on the ground. And they said, the Corporal's Harrison needs a new helmet. And they were saying, why, has he lost it? Has he lost his helmet or something? There was a big uproar about it. And I thought, no, I've been shot. My helmet's been weakened, so I need another one, Yeah,
someone shot the helmet. It's in bits somewhere, you know what I mean? What's going on?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love it. Right, okay. So now obviously in that same tour then, later on, you go out. I think the Daily Mail talks about this. We can share a Daily Mail article, can't we? I think that's legal to be able to share a Daily Mail article. And it talks about obviously your. Here we go. I'll just try and get it up now. Talks about your shot. Now I've read the story about this, obviously, because you cover it in your book and everything else. This is quite an interesting one, really, because Is this where you were bracketing the guys on the PKM? Is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So you've got your boys in a gully because it's all gone wrong. Someone's opening up with a PKM, well out of range, but the rounds are still coming in on them. So these guys, and you're bringing your rifle up, and you're like, well, that's too far away. I think actually I got the accuracy. Well, you can tell me, but the range of this, it says about 1,200 yards for the effective firing range of the 115. I'm assuming, and your it's got a maximum firing. Have you seen this now on Wikipedia? It's got a maximum firing range of 2,475 meters now.
Yeah, no.
So you've done that basically. You've gone, that firing range. Just going to give them a call. Accuracy International. It says 1,200 yards. No, you want to just dial that up a little bit. That is brilliant. That's actually your range on that Wikipedia page. That's brilliant. So you've gone badness over there. You've got your boy with you. He's spotting for you. And the only way you're going to be able to take these guys out is by literally lofting the rounds in. Is that right?
Yeah, basically, I shot the first round. I put my scope on the max magnification that could go,
right,
and then I fired a shot. And what I was waiting for is to find out where it hit. And it sort of like I could see the dust go, and my spotter saw it as well, and he'd go, it's down there, and that I think, okay, then so I need to lift up a bit more. So I shoot again, and it hit another compound wall, and that's bracketing. So I'm working my way up to this compound wall where this PKM is, and there's 2 Taliban there. And basically, when I hit the compound wall, one Taliban got up, and I fired again. So this is my fourth. I fired 9 shots to hit the compound wall, and then the lads got in the shit again. So I was sort of like taking Taliban out in the village.
Yeah.
And then the vehicles got stuck in the mud, and I couldn't work it out why a 4x4 vehicle was stuck in the mud. And it worked out that to my right-hand side, there was a Taliban guy, and he knocked the a head off a water pump, irrigation water pump, and it flooded the field to enough knee deep water, and it was all turning to like quicksand, quagmire. So you know what the mud's like out there. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a sandy, muddy sort of like some substance. Well, anyway, I shot him at 600 yards, 675 yards. I shot him, and then I went back onto my targets, and all the water was spraying up, and I couldn't figure out why the water was spraying up. And as I looked up, that's when I saw again 2 Taliban with a PKM shooting at the guys that I just sent out there. So I knew in the morning I got 9 shots, and I knew how to hit the compound wall. So what I'd done, I fired again. So I fired my first shot. The first shot missed. So as I fired a second shot, and as he stood up, I hit him in the chest. And then his mate must have realised, fuck, we're getting shot at. He got up. I fired the third shot. Then as I fired this third shot, I moved across, and I fired the fourth shot. So I got 2 bullets in the air at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was 6 seconds of flight for that distance. So I had one at 3 seconds, one at 6 seconds. The third one missed, and the fourth one hit him on the side. And the only reason why we knew where I hit him is because we try and get the weapon. You try and you don't want it to get recycled back into the Taliban. And an Apache came up behind me, and I could see the pilot. He was really low, and I pointed him to where I just engaged these guys, and he GPS'd it, and he got back onto my forward air controller that we had, and he said, it was 2,475 yards out there, and he went out there, and he said the weapon's already gone. And we went out there to look, and the bodies, and that's where I knew why I'd shot these guys. But the bullets slowed down. We worked it out to about 40 miles an hour. That's how slow the bullets slowed down. So if they had body armor on,
Yeah,
it would have just pinged off the body armor, you know. But,
it's amazing. It slows down, doesn't it? I mean, you see, we talk about missiles when I teach jets on radars, and we're throwing AMRAAMs down. We do say firing off at X miles, and then we close in. We fire another one, so we've got 2 in. One's going active, whilst the other one we're still guiding it. You're doing that with bullets. That one. We'll have another one then. There we go. In case you move, it's like Is that sort of thing in sniper school? Did they go, right, what are you now? Did they now talk about like the Harrison technique or anything? They go, right, this is something you can do at range if you want to. You can put one in and then you can move and put another one in. Is that something you were taught in sniper school, or is it something that you just learn on the battlefield?
Not at all. I thought to myself, well, I've missed on my first one, and the distance is so vast that I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't plan to hit him.
Yeah.
It wasn't the plan. It was, I thought, fucking hell, I've hit one, because he went down. I could see him go down. And I thought, fucking hell. So I'll have a go on the second and my third and fourth shot. So, but no, I suppose it's intelligence of what you're thinking.
Yeah, it makes sense. And if anything, you're just throwing rounds down range. It's almost suppressing fire to keep heads down to protect the boys, isn't it? That makes sense.
Exactly. You're sanding a blanket of rounds down instead of you leaving a gap for them to get away. So
I didn't realise the PKM had that range either, though. I mean, they must have been.
But you think they weren't firing at me? My troops were quite a distance, so it was half for them.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And was this now? Were you like the Mail article shows here? And I'm not overly convinced they got this right. Were you in like a prone position here, or are you just leaning on the bonnet?
No, I was stood up against the wall.
So you stood up against the wall. Are you being supported at all by this wall? Or, I mean, is it completely freestanding next to the wall? I mean, because if I did that, I'm not even being funny. I'll be all over the place like this. What are you doing? You're breathing sorted and stuff. How's that work?
Yeah, I had to take myself somewhere in my mind where it would calm me down, because I had friends down there in the shit, you know, and I was leant against this wall and I was stood against it, and I had one hand out holding the bipod, because every time I fired around, the velocity, the ferociousness of the rifle, the kickback would knock chunks off the wall, because the wall's only made out of shit and mud and straw, you know, and the wall was coming apart. So I had to reinforce it by pushing my arm forward on the bipod as well as firing as well. So yeah.
Bits of wall cover.
And I've got a photo as well, is that my leg was shaking and it was interrupting my sight picture because my leg was shaking so much. So what I'd done, I got a stone and I rested it against my ankle, and I've got an actual live picture.
Someone took that today.
Yeah, my gunner took the picture of me taking my shot, and I've still got that. I've still got that now. Yeah,
that's incredible. Someone's actually taking a picture of you. Jeez,
yeah, my gunner did. Yeah,
that is brilliant. So you didn't have a spotter there or anything like that at the time? Then you're literally just, I'll have a go at this.
I had my driver with me, who wasn't qualified or anything, and I had to take him through the spotter scope uber quick. I said, right, this is the spot and scope. What you're looking at is what I'm looking at. All you got to do is put the mil dot on it and say where it is, and I know what mil dot you're looking at, and I can engage that target.
So is there, when you say what you're looking at is what I'm looking at, it's not a freestanding scope then? It's somehow coming out of the rifle, is it? The image, or how's that work? Or you've set it up, have you? You've gone there it is, you've set it up. Yeah,
I set the spot and scope up for him. He's right next to me. So when he's looking at something and he's going, oh yeah, it's the second house on the left, 2 mil dots. I go on the second house, go across, and I go, 2 mil dots. I can see
exactly the same image. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
exactly. That's quite cool, isn't it? It's quite funny because he's probably just talking. What we call it, talking in clear. It's like he doesn't know how to do the right language, and so he's like, there's a big buffalo walking across there next to the house. You know what I mean? I can see the buffalo.
Yeah, I had to rely on my gunner for the radio, and I had to take my headsets off because I had to concentrate so much doing these shots. Yeah, you know, and I was engaging a lot of Taliban that day. I think 13 altogether that day. Yeah, it was because the patrol going in as well, they got casualties and some had to be extracted out. So that's the reason why I sent my vehicles into the kill zone, so they can act as a buffer between the Taliban and this patrol, basically. Yeah.
So when you get to the, you get to the bodies, do you, in the end? And so you can assess do you get the bodies and you do see them?
Yeah, they actually they were the orchestrators of the whole attack.
Were they?
So they ended up being 2 Taliban leaders anyway that I shot.
Were. Okay.
Yeah, and that sort of went down like a shit balloon in the Taliban community, really.
Well, I bet it did. Yeah.
And they knew that a sniper was on the ground, and this sniper could shoot, basically.
It changes things, doesn't it? When you bring a sniper in, the dynamic of the field apparently changes.
Yeah, it panics. It panics. When I was in Iraq, in Basra, we was in a place called the PJOC, and from Basra Palace, you could walk it in 10 minutes, but in a vehicle it takes 2.5 hours. You know, because you get fucking hammered. But when you're in this PJOC, there's only 18 of us in this PJOC, and basically it's a defence for the prison, which is next door. And all the time from 5 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the evening till 5 o'clock in the morning, sort of the gates of hell would open. You know, they all wanted to let these prisoners out, and we used to let the machine guns go, the Jimpies go, fire before we would fire, because if they heard one single shot, they would scatter.
Right, so he's covering your shot, basically.
So basically, yeah, it was the same in Afghan. They hear one single shot, and they shit themselves, basically, because they know you got a precision rifle on the go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That's clever. That so. That's like it's a battlefield domination weapon, and if a sniper's on the ground, there's no snipers loose.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I haven't really thought of it in those terms. I suppose it's always been that way, isn't it? Since Second World War, I suppose, if you have a sniper out.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I remember in Canada, we did a mass exercise. It had jets, boats, fucking you name it, I had it in Canada. It was like a £6 million exercise, and it wasn't myself, but it was 2 other snipers held the whole battle group up for 4 days. And every time they popped up, they got shot at. They had the TESX vests on.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare. And eventually the instructors went up to these snipers and God gunned them and killed them. Because they just couldn't get on with this mission because these snipers were just killing everyone.
Yeah.
And it just proves that 2 snipers can hold a whole battle group up, you know?
I bet the battle groups like these snipers are dicks. It's like
basically.
Fucking everything on these snipers, just kill them, get rid of them. They're starting to piss me off. All right, then you get blown up. What's that about? So now you're in your Jackal. This is mad.
We was on a mission, and to give overwatch for the Yorks to go into the green zone.
Right.
And so we had to find some high ground to look down into the green zone to give them cover and support. And the mission went fine. Everything was fine. And then we decided to come back. And you know yourself, in Afghan, from 5 o'clock, it's pitch fucking black. You know, and it's like somebody's turned a frigging light out. There's no ambient light from villages or anything. It's like it's fucking pitch black. And this was at 4:30, and I decided my lead vehicle stopped. And I thought, why has he stopped? So I got out and I ran to my lead vehicle as one of my mates. And I said, "You all right?" And he goes, "I've got a bad feeling about this." And he said, "I've got a wife and kids at home, Craig." And I went, "Okay, mate." And he goes, "I've just got to read." I said, "I'll tell you what, because I'm not meant to lead.
Right.
As a sergeant, you're meant to be at the back."
Right. Yeah.
And I said to him, "I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll lead this out." And he goes, "Okay." And I led. And as I went through this field, I hit an 30-kilo anti-tank mine. And they couldn't find my driver because he was covered in sand. It blew me out the vehicle, and I ended up breaking both my arms. Obviously, my hips were fucked. I had a brain injury. You know, obviously my hand, obviously my hand was started. Was going as well, and they sort of caddy-vacked me out back to Bastion, and they didn't realise I broke my arms at that time, and I kept saying to him, "He's looking really pale. He's looking really pale," and I was going, "My fucking arms, my arms are killing me," and they said, "No, we've checked you. You're all right." And I said, "Look, I'm not being funny. My fucking arms are killing me." And they said, "Okay, we'll x-ray him again then, give you a peace of mind." And they found out that I broke my radius, my scaphoid, my wrists on both arms. And
how did I miss that?
I remember it to this day now, the doctor looking at the other doctor going, "How did we miss this? How did we miss this?" Well, anyway, they sent me back to England. I was 6 weeks in cast. And then they took me out of casts. I went to physio. They made me do 10 press-ups, and then they sent me back out.
I love it. Legend. How do you fix your scaphoid? When I broke my scaphoid, that's not easy to heal because you can't get the blood around the back. Did they drill that?
Yeah.
Fixed it?
No, they did just left it.
And you were okay?
Yeah, it clicks.
I bet it clicks. Yeah. Because, you're a sniper. You need your hands, right? And scaphoid. Madness. So, and your driver, you said, we just lost it. Oh, we got it.
No, I've got it now. Yeah. My driver sort of like, he didn't lose his legs at the time. It was due to the injury that they made the decision to amputate his legs, sort of thing. So, and that's a hard thing to cope with, because he was next to me in bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
what the funny thing is, though, when we lose jets, that could be our time. That could be someone else's time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That morning, someone else took that aeroplane, and we were supposed to. I was supposed to take the jet that Sean Cunningham took that morning in Red Arrows, and he died in that aeroplane on ejection. There's a fault with the ejection seat, but I was supposed to go in that aeroplane, and I was supposed to just check that the combined speed indicator was giving the correct data to the accident data recorder because of a fatality in the Red Arrows back in 2011. And it just so happens, whether it was so poor, Sean said, "Can I take it, Tim?" "Take it, Sean, it's fine." "I'll drink tea." Happy. And he died that morning. So we can't ever blame ourselves for that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it could have been the other way around. It's just the way it is. We're all doing this together, aren't we? So, but I mean,
it's like I did take with my mental health issues, I did take it a lot on board for myself, like guilt-wise, because obviously through Iraq and Afghan, I think Afghan had more responsibility. I had more control.
Yeah.
Because my officer got hit in the first 3 weeks of being out in Afghan. So I was doing an officer's job as well as a sergeant's job. And they weren't going to replace the officer. So I had to do this all the way through the tour. And it was quite stressful doing O groups and plus doing my job as well, and putting the lads on the ground. And when they get hit or they hit an IED, you take that quite personally, because in my head I think, fuck, did I do it right? Did I put them in the right place at the right time? Did I do that right? Did I do this right? And you beat yourself up about it, and it's fucking horrible. It's horrible.
But I mean, obviously you're getting paid. The officers pay at the same time, though, aren't you? So,
I wish. I wish. Yeah.
No, it's like, no, let me do his job as well. I'll just do it for free because why not? That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look then, because I've got down here. What's that? I've got that. Yeah, so we've got that. So you come home and they sent you back out after that then. So that's it. You're all right, back out. But you've just had, I said, a hip replaced with obviously the blood issues. That's due to this, isn't it? This incident later on. Is that right? Exactly. And you're going to get the other one as well?
I need my other one done as well. Yeah, that's the problem as well.
Now they'll be bionic, won't they? They'll be like titanium and stuff.
Yeah.
You won't have to get them done when you're 80, will you? You're done now for life with hips.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be done now. Yeah, that's more. It.
Why did your name get released after this and into the press? What was that? Why did that happen?
Well, basically, you have a medals parade when you come back off tour to get your medal. And then all your family's invited. And basically, they invite the press in as well. But the press has to be accompanied by somebody from London District Media Ops to walk around with them.
Okay.
And whatever you tell them, it gets censored. And
Right.
my adjutant at the time, because my lad saw more action than anyone else, so I said to this press guy, "Will this get censored?" And he says, "Yes, it will." And I asked my adjutant as well, "Will it get censored?" And I kept asking him, "Will it get censored?" Because I was paranoid it wouldn't. And he goes, "Yeah, it all gets censored." Okay, then. So my lads started telling their stories, and I told mine. And then he turned around to me. He says, "Do you realise you broke the world record?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Yeah, the Canadian Rob Furlong, you broke his record at the sniper shot." I said, "Yeah, but he had a 50 cal." And he says, "Craig, you broke the world record." And I was like, "Oh well, okay, fair enough." And then I think the medals parade went ahead, and it was a total success. And then the following Sunday, I opened the papers, and my name was in the papers. And the story never got censored off London District Media Ops.
Never got censored, so they just ran with it.
Yeah, they just ran with it. It sort of fell on the desk of an old crusty colonel from London District Media Ops, and he's gone, "Yeah, that's fine." So my wife's name got mentioned, my daughter's name, my name, where I lived, and everything. So we had to go in hiding for 3 years.
You know, it's just happened with a book that a buddy of mine released called Typhoon. I mean, all the names in it were approved, but he's got all the names, all the pilots that are out there dropping stuff. Maybe it's enough time afterwards, I don't know. But I do know a couple of the pilots that were a bit like, hang on, I didn't realize my full name was going to be in the book. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why we're releasing. I think I'm out of the military enough. I had death threats when I left as well. But and so I don't give my home address out. You know, I say I live near Cheltenham, I do, but within about 25 miles of Cheltenham. But now I think I'm all right. We've been out for a while. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a problem. But at that time, that was you were still in serving.
Yeah,
that to me is unbelievable. So you're still serving and you're in hiding for 3 years technically.
I was still serving at the time, but then I was going. I think the last 2 years of that, I was going through medical discharge with PTSD.
That's it. So we're going to talk about that. You were denied a military cross because your colonel didn't think it was appropriate or something for. Why was that denied?
He said, "I think my family's had enough stress as it is."
Yeah, because that's going to bring a lot of stress, isn't it? A military cross. That's the opposite of stress. That's relieving the stress. But fucking what was he then?
I remember it clear as day. I was in Germany on exercise on the simulator tanks and all that. Big simulator thing. And I remember getting called into the office they called me in, and it was the adjutant, and he said that you've been awarded the military cross. And he says, "What ceremony would you like?" And I'd said, "Well, I would like a private one. I don't want to be in the limelight." And he goes, "That's fine." He goes, "That's fine." He goes, "Don't tell anyone. Keep it, as private as possible."
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the couple of weeks later, the whole regiment's on the parade square, and the honours roll come out, and he goes, "Corporals Harrison." I stood to attention, and he goes, "Mentioning dispatches." And obviously, I've told people, because it's something I was quite proud of. And you could hear a fucking pin drop, and I marched out, to him. I saluted him. I stood next to him, and he read the citation out. And he turned around to me, and I remember it clear as day. And he said, "I turned the military cross down for you because I didn't want you to stress your family, more stress for your family."
Why would it be more stress for your family?
Fuck knows.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. What dick?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Was it to do with the regiment? He didn't want someone in the regiment to have a military cross or something? Or I didn't even think he was able to put the military cross down. I didn't think someone was responsible for turning it down once. I mean, someone had to write a citation for you.
Yeah, it was my troop leader wrote it down.
So then it would have gone up to him, of course, and then he would have had to put it through himself. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. He hasn't, in fact, put it through, has he? He hasn't. Yeah, I see. That makes sense. He's gone, no, I won't have it. It would take him to push that for you to get it, and he's decided not to push it because of your mental health, because he's a dick. I couldn't work it out. The adjutant rang me up and told me what he said. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't know.
So when then do you leave the military? Are you starting to build up PTSD issues while still in, and then you medically discharged from PTSD or physical disability, or what is it?
Yeah, through PTSD, through being in still. I was going on exercise, and I was taking it to the extreme while I was still fighting like I was in Afghan.
Yeah.
And my wife noticed first the changes. Tanya noticed the changes in me first of all, and I didn't notice it. And then the regiment started noticing my changes, and then I got called into the MO's office, and he said that you've got severe PTSD. Diagnosed me at the time with severe PTSD. I went to Aldershot, to the place where they deal with you with PTSD. I wasn't getting any better. I was sort of getting worse, and they came to a conclusion to medical discharge me. And so 23 years of serving, it takes half an hour to get kicked out.
Yeah, I've heard this before, actually. But they sort of do all the work in the background, don't they? And then they make their decision. And then you're like, well, have I got any say in this at all? I'm the person involved. Have I got any? But they go, like, no, that's it, you're done. And then you come out, of course, which would be on a medical pension, I would have thought. So
yeah, it would be, yeah.
But then you know, that's it, you're done. That's your career done. 23 years now. So you're like, okay, well, now I've got to go and find something else. And unfortunately, in Civvy Street, there's not much need for snipers, I would have thought.
No, not at all.
So, I mean, that's the same with this. Not many people, we don't need many people bombed with jets in the civvy world, unfortunately. So I'm the same. I'll just go out and do something else then. But so that PTSD then, that doesn't change. Combat stress don't deal with severe PTSD. It's got to be an NHS thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but even the NHS let you down. They don't really deal with the severe PTSD. And I remember going into my GP once, civilian GP, and I said to him that I've got severe PTSD and I've been discharged out of the army. And he sort of rolled his eyes, and I went, fuck you then. And I stood up, and he goes, no, I'll give you this. And he printed the NHS mental health for veterans. He printed it off for me. And he goes, what's this? And he goes, give them a ring. So, and I gave them a ring. And because I had severe PTSD, see, PTSD with one issue, my therapist said to me, if it was one issue, we could cope with it. It's because you've got hundreds of issues. You got different issues from different tours. Yeah. So basically everything that I saw in Bosnia, Kosovo, Iraq, I sort of held back, and I've stored it in my head, you know, and I've cracked on. But as soon as I got blown up, it was like that wall that I was hiding it behind got shattered, and everything just spewed out, and I couldn't control what was coming out. You know, thoughts, memories, the smells, everything. I couldn't control it. And when you try and explain that to somebody in the NHS, they give you 6 to 5 sessions. That's it. That's all they give you.
That's you done.
That's you done. You
see where you're cured.
You're cured.
Where you're going wrong here, Craig, is when a doctor rolls his eyes like that, you just got to smash the place up. I mean, you'll get noted. You know, oh, actually, he has got PTSD because he just smashed my surgery up. It's like, don't roll your eyes at me. Just, you know, you're supposed to be able to help. You're supposed to be able to provide someone I can go to and talk this stuff through. Is the actual answer then? Is it? Well, interesting enough, when you eject on one of these aircraft, you get sent to hospital, of course. And what the if it's search and rescue take you there, they say treat this person like they've been in a road accident at 300 miles an hour, because of course they don't know how to deal with an injectee. But you've got spinal breaks and stuff all the way, you know what I mean? So that's what they need to do. They keep you on a board and x-ray. They've got no idea what an injection is. Like, what does that entail? You know, it's the 26G acceleration out of the aircraft, and then the massive impact, of course, under the parachute with all the kit on when you hit the ground as well, probably at speed. So they have, I mean, why would they have an idea? So that's why they tell them this guy's been in a car accident like 300 miles an hour. You know what I mean? It's like, then they cut your flight kit off. You're all naked, cut your flight kit off, and then when you discharge, you're like, I'm going to have to be naked on the train. I've got no, you know what I mean? Where's the nearest Tesco's? That's like, there's no kit for me. One of my mates did that. He discharged him. He was like, I'm just going to have to go to Tesco's whilst I hold like this. Go and buy the most random kit possible to get on the train. So So basically, you got this complex. Like, so is it? I don't know. Is it constant therapy that what unravels the PTSD and just allows you to come out of it in a time-based fashion? Is it? Or what happens?
Yeah, I pay for my own therapy, and his name's Ross Hoare, and he's such a fucking gleaming guy.
Yeah.
You know, such a guy, and he unravels it. He makes me understand it.
Right.
It's not myself unraveling it, like you said. It's him that unravels it for me, and he makes me understand it more, and about different scenarios. So yeah. So he work. He does a thing called the EMDI as well, where he does memory recall, where you recall the incident and then he takes you back out of it, recalls you back in and recalls you back out. You know, it's quite intense sometimes. You know, he's been around my house. He's come around my house to see if I'm all right, and that's how far he goes as a therapist. You know.
Well, we did talk, didn't we? Something that's quite common, guys leave the military, is this suicidal ideation. I mean, I most certainly had it, and I talk about it when I left because my wife was living apart from me for a year, and I was under a very intense job. I think I left at 43, and we tend to see this problem between 35 and 45. And if we get guys through the back end of their 40s, they tend to be all right. But we lost pilots through suicide. It's quite rare, but we did have a spate where we lost 2 or 3 guys through suicide. And you did talk about the fact that you had those things as well. I believe you were in the States at the time, and you managed to, you know, was it your dog that sort of helped you through this one?
Yeah. I managed to get hold of a gun, and then I was just going to do something stupid. Yeah, you know, and she looked at me in a way that she's never looked at me before. She's just down here. She just looked at me like she never looked at me before, and then sort of pulled me around because Tanya wasn't there. She was in England, so Tanya wasn't there. So but it was good. All good. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, I think about it every single day. I wake up I wake up thinking of it. I go to bed thinking of it. But things that hold me back from going through with it is, one, my wife, Tanya. Second, my dog helps me. And thirdly, somebody's got to find me.
Yeah, that's true. And you don't want that.
And then I've infected them with my misery.
And then they will infect the family with it and everything else. That's the thing, isn't it?
Exactly. So I'd rather suffer in silence and then infect somebody else.
You know, there's a program called The Bridge about San Francisco Suspension Bridge, and it's about survivors of the bridge when they've jumped off. It's quite an interesting watch. I can watch it now. I wouldn't have watched it a few years ago because I was in that zone. You know what I mean? But all these survivors, the people that survive their suicidal jump, say that as soon as they leave the bridge, instantly they realize they've done the wrong thing. Like they've all said the same thing. Like, I've done the wrong thing here. You know what I mean? And now they're hurtling towards the water. They get fished out. Like, those ones are still alive because obviously the other ones you haven't heard from because they're dead. But it just makes me realise, doesn't it? I had a mate of mine, and I won't name which airplane he was on because he's a good dude, actually. He's a really good guy, still involved in aviation, and he's come out with, he's been open about it all the time. He was telling me a story where he went to kill himself. He went to a bridge and he sat on this high bridge, and he sat there looking at the water. He's going to do it, fine. And he's got his hand on the side, and this bloke stops in a car behind him, and he runs up and he grabs him and says, mate, careful, you might fall off that. Like, literally thinking the guy was he like pulls him off, and he's like, no, mate, I'm just sitting here, you know, just chill, all right. He goes, yeah, just careful, mate, you almost like, you know, you could have fallen off there. He's like, yeah, it's fine. So he goes, I'll go home and kill myself instead. And by the time he gets home, he's forgotten to do it. And the next day he wakes up and he's like, that was a bit of a weird day. You know, I don't want to do that. Shit, that was... And then he realised that he was going in and out of this, and he went to see someone, and he sort of worked himself through it. But he was going through a really dark time, you know, for many, many years. I think that's the thing about it, isn't it? We do have a purpose in life, and it just sometimes takes someone to tell us that, doesn't it? That there is a purpose for us being here, and we can move forward and work through that. I bet your dog was looking at you going, don't be a dick. What are you doing? Dick Lord.
Yeah, come basically. Basically. Yeah.
That's it. Stop being a dick. Right, so can we talk then briefly? Your Instagram is really good, actually. I really like it. I don't want to keep you too much longer because obviously both got families and your one's more important than mine right now. So I've got your Instagram here, which I really like. Your Instagram's really good. My Instagram's rubbish. So That's my where I'm going. That's Insta. Here we go. That's my Insta feed. I'm going to search up here for you. All right. There we go. Straight at the top. Here we are. Right. So we'll look at your Maverick Survival School. I mean, this is great. I'll go through this. You've got some great content on here. Is that your dog there? Is it?
That's Betsy. Yeah.
Yeah. Check it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the cutest thing in the world, isn't it? So you've got obviously the survival school that you've got here. You post a lot of details about this. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on here. I mean, this is your hand, isn't it? That was still the result of the jackal, was it? You having the operations on your hand?
Yeah. Still going on.
Still going on. Let's bring up
Tim, if you click back onto that, and go onto my photos and go all the way to the bottom near enough.
Oh yeah. What is that? That is a. Oh, you got your. Did you buy one in the States then?
Yeah, I did. That's a HNK 45 millimeter. So if you go onto the Houses of Parliament one, just above it, yeah. What do you reckon that is? Right, go on. We've got to be discussing something like veteran affairs in the north, haven't we, or something? And at the bottom, we've got to be discussing something MP's pay, is it, or something like that? Go on. MP's pay on the bottom, and about suicide with mental health with veterans at the top. No, I mean, what is it? See, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't want to rally against government, but I just seen something about Matt Hancock and contracts going to his buddy through a third firm, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. I saw that this morning. It's is that about MP's pay on the bottom? Yeah, MP's pay, and about the top one is suicide in veterans. I wonder why they don't go to this. Maybe it doesn't have an impact on whether they're elected or not. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Maybe because they don't care. Well, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it is not caring. It's saying you care, isn't it? And they're not actually caring. Well, it's easy to say, isn't it? I mean, they all do it. It's when people say, "Oh, our thoughts and prayers." It's like, well, that's not going to help because the person is, you know what I mean? But understand that thoughts and prayers weird. It's like, well, how about you just put more money into the system? Because I think you were talking about that some money went to something like combat. Was it combat stress or something? And it wasn't going to touch the sides. It was just going to feed the hierarchy, basically. Oh, 5 million to veterans charities. 5 million. I mean, to veterans charities. So we're going to shell that out, and no veteran's going to see that. It's going to go into some admin and stuff in it. We all know that. Yeah. Being negative, aren't I? But, you know, we all know what happens to it. But, I mean, there's more veterans homeless on the street now, I think, than ever, isn't there? Right, doubt. There's probably a reason for that as well, because I just get pissed off the whole thing and think, right, that's it. I'm going to go and live on the street, and then I don't have to, you know, work for some dick or whatever I don't want to work for. But you've done a similar thing, of course, because you've got your own school. I've got my school. Your school's a bit cooler than mine, though, because you get to call it cool names for a start, and you get to build fires, and you get to make weapons and sticks and things, which is awesome. Where's the gallery? Here we are. So what you do, this school then you take people out on a weekend. Oh, it's a bit cold right now, isn't it? So probably in spring you go and do this again, yeah? Yeah, it's shut down till March now, to the early bits of March. But what it is, I concentrate on one-on-one or one-on-two. Yeah. And basically you get more out of it from the instructor. Because there's quite a lot to fit in. You know, I do flint napping, do archery, we make our own arrows, we do some forging, making like nails. Yeah. That is awesome. Nails into our heads and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all. How do you make an arrow then? You have to whittle wood down or something, do you? Yeah, you get a bit of willow, a bit of hazel, nice straight wood. Yeah. You make it into an arrow, bend it with a fire, stuff like that. So yeah, it's all good. Yeah. So it's all shut down till next year now, but I'm taking bookings from January. Right. And I called it the Maverick Survival School because that was my call sign in Afghan, and obviously the book was called Longest Kill Maverick 41. You know, so the Maverick Survival School sort of felt right to call it that. Yeah, I like that. Now, with your pricing and kit list, I really like the fact you're up front with it. You're like, bang. Do you want me to click on that? Or are you changing things? Yeah, okay. Because I know some people would be saying, no, I change it. So you rock up at 6 p.m. on a Friday. You get out of there midday on a Sunday. And this is your full weekend. This is where you get to, it's like you could
Do you get like a bandana on and get Rambo'd up? Do you go and hunt people? That's what I do. I track people. I get all the politicians, put them on the run in the wood and stuff, and then I go, right, come on, we're going to make
escape and evasion on MPs.
Yeah, on MPs, yeah, exactly. So flint napping, is that making flint into weapons then? Is it on sharpening up and stuff? Is that?
Yeah, making flint napping, making small arrowheads, small shards of sharp flint, and just make it into a hasty arrow. And I've got an actual proper archery bow. So we're not actually making the bow, because the bow takes time to season and things like that, but the arrow doesn't. So you make fletchlings. You can see there on that picture, we made a spoon, we made a whistle, made a mallet, made a tent peg, made an arrow.
It's crazy. That is crazy. What's that? Just taking like an axe and just whittling stuff down and
all whittling it down using the knives and all that. Everything will be provided for you. All you need to, if you want to bring your own tent, bring your own food, and then from there we just go from there. And it's Friday till Sunday, about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock we finish.
And this is just sitting down with a couple of dudes, whatever, or a single dude and just having a chat or do that.
That's it.
Just chilling out.
And if you've got PTSD or anything, or you want to talk, I'm there to listen. And also Ross said that we've planned that if somebody's got like bad PTSD and he comes down, that he will come down one night and he will sit and talk with them as well.
No, that is good. That is good.
Yeah.
Do you get veterans then? You get veterans come down, or what do you get?
Yeah. Well, I did a podcast with James English.
Right.
I don't know if you know James English. He's quite well renowned podcaster. And I've been overwhelmed next year with bookings. So with veterans and people that want to come down, or people just want to come down and meet me, and we just shoot the shit. The wood's there. It's a 57-acre wood, and it's a beautiful wood, and we just sit there, shoot the shit, build some stuff, shoot some stuff, and then eat, make stuff. That's it. Gleaming.
It's a good thing actually. My flight school, I tend to find a lot of veterans come in there because it's quite therapeutic to put virtual reality on and fly with other people, and go and do the things I prepare. So I can see why this is popular. I can see why people want to come and do it. I think there needs to be. I tell you what, this is what they do. I remember. Oh, come on, who was the American sniper guy? Kyle.
Chris Kyle.
Kyle, yeah. I remember. Was it Chris Kyle? He was taking a lot of guys, wasn't he, out to the range doing range work, wasn't he? And that was very beneficial for them, wasn't it? Because they were able to go out there. I'll just see whether I've got everything right on this. And they would be able to go out and actually do some range work and put some rounds down range and everything else. But we can't do that in the country, can we, in the UK? Because we don't have any full bore sort of shooting, do we? So
no,
we couldn't do here at all. So this is like the next best thing. This is saying, we're going to go out and we're going to do some bushcraft. We're going to do some fieldcraft. We're going to have a chat through some stuff. I think it's brilliant. And so you just say here, do you just bring your stuff, bring whatever you want? I'd obviously bring a massive tent, and I'd bring a huge amount. All the creature comforts would come out with me. I'll probably bring like one of those camper vans, to be fair, Craig.
Fair enough. Yes, fair enough.
Exactly. We'd have like a fridge in there and everything. You know what I mean? A big awning will come out. Well, I said, didn't I? I said, when you run this again, now this is in the south of England. Where is this you do? Where the guys got to go to?
It's near Portsmouth, so it's near a village called Bishop's Waltham near Farrier. So and it's just a wood block there, 57 acres. Yeah. So and everything's there. So it's like you have to take part to understand how good it is good.
Absolutely. And I'll come down in the new year because my mum's in Portsmouth. My sisters are down there. So I go back and see them. So I'll give you a call, whatever, and I'll come down. I'll come and bring a camera, whatever, and film some stuff and put it on the YouTube channel if you want. We just have a catch up.
For sure. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Have a catch up. Sounds awesome, doesn't it? Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I got a lot out of that you don't, out of chatting to you, that you get in the books and parts of the books, but there's a whole, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think when you're talking to another military dude, you understand like how bases work and how downtime works and how you kind of you have like I always say to my wife, no move before time, like, and it's like no move before 5 o'clock. She knows what's going on then, and you don't get that in civil land, do you? In civil land, people are going, we'll go roughly at 8, and I'm like, no. That don't work for me. Roughly at 8, it doesn't work for me.
That's
It's
it.
like, how about we go at 8? Oh, you know, I've just got to get changed. I've got to get the kids down. I've got to, flashes me up. That brings out the rage. I just have to leave at 8. Like, you know, I'm like, I'm going. I'll meet you there then, because I can't. I'm not in tune with the whole. Well, when it happens, it happens. I haven't got myself. So when you chat to another military dude, you kind of understand that's
or mentioning contact. Yeah, I'll contact you when I can.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, you can't say contact.
No, exactly. It's all that. But look, we covered everything. I didn't think we would, to be fair, because there's a load of. Well, I've got some other stuff down here, but we'll touch on that the next time. But look, I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much, and I wish you all the best for your business. I hope to speak to you.
No worries, buddy. No worries. Cheers. Thank you a lot.